There is just one thing left to say about the game coming up on Saturday. Just one thing. Let's go.
You are Locked On USC, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Hulkin, and thank you. Thank you for making Locked On USC part of the Locked On Network, your first listen every day. Whether you are watching this show on YouTube, wherever you want to download this podcast, this show is always going to be free. This show is always going to appreciate your support. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. We did it. We did it. High five. Fight on. We survived the offseason. In just one day, literally, in roughly 24 hours, depending on what time you're watching this show, plus or minus 24 hours, the Trojans are kicking off their season against the Missouri State Bears. Literally, let's fight on. It's go time. I get it. I get it. The opponent isn't what USC fans are used to playing. But look, we can still be excited, right? 2025, brand new season. Hope springs eternal. Trojans rocking out in Coliseum wearing cardinal and gold. What's not to like about that, regardless of who they're playing? I'm going to give you my final score prediction at the end of this segment. Spoiler alert, USC is going to win the game. I'll tell you by how much. We know the spread, I think, is up to 35.5, over under 60. Maybe it was 50. I saw it at 59.5. Take the over. Take the over. And it's up to you if you want to take that large point spread. That's all I'm going to say. I hate numbers that big. With that said, I do have USC winning the game. I will give you my final score prediction at the end of this segment, but I do have a question. It's feeding time. We got all these Trojan dogs. They got to eat. Well, who's going to eat? Who's going to eat the most? Which players are going to steal the headlines that I'll be talking about after the game sometime late Saturday night? Don't forget, post-game reaction right here, Locked on USC. Hang out, stay up, do what you got to do. I have some dogs that need to be fed early. Right? I got some names. I got my litter of dogs. I'm going to tell you who needs to eat early and often. So I'm going to give you some pre-game predictions. You can chime back, give me yours. Well, I'm going to start with the physical part of the offensive game plan. All right. I've got USC's team rushing as a team, over 200 yards on the ground. I don't think that, and I think they're going to be able to do that rather easily. So how you're going to get there, how you're going to get 200 plus yards, you're going to feed the junkyard dog, Waymon Jordan. Remember John Reed beginning camp? He was talking about his buddy, Waymon. He says, yeah, he's like a junkyard dog. He's just humping everything out there. He's having a good time. Well, let's get Waymo the ball. Let's see him humping all over the field. Let's feed him. Let's feed that dog. I think Waymo's going to get at least 100 plus of the 200 plus yards USC will get as a team. So a big chunk of it's coming from him. I should remind everybody, last year, USC's rushing offense, they averaged 145 yards per game. Fun fact, all right? USC was 145 yards per game on the ground. Not great, not bad, just kind of meh. Well, Missouri State, their rush defense last year allowed 178 yards per game. That was at the FCS level. Welcome to big boy football. So if everything does go according to plan, I think the backups should be playing a bunch in the second half. And I foresee the running backs seeing a whole lot of action. So, whether it's, Eli Sanders, Brian Jackson, King Miller, Harry Dalton, eventually USC is going to push past that 200-yard threshold. But which one of USC's wide receivers is going to lead the team? Forget touchdowns, forget yards, receptions. Give me total number of receptions. Jacoby, Mackay, they're going to be heavily involved in the first half. But I also anticipate them resting much of the second half, if not all of it. Definitely the fourth quarter. They better be. If they're still playing in the fourth quarter, we've got some problems. I think someone else finishes with the better numbers. Tanuk Hines kind of came out of nowhere, surprised everybody as the number 3 wide receiver. But between him, Zacharias Williams, Prince Strawn, which one of those guys eats the most? Pick your wide receiver dog. Who's going to have the most receptions? I'm kind of stuck here. I'm not sure who to pick. Flipping a coin right now. It lands on Zacharias Williams. I got nothing there. Pick your defensive dog or dogs. Who's going to lead the team in tackles? I'm going to say at the end of the game, Jaden Walker. Maybe Tamir Robinson. One of those two backup linebackers. Okay. Does Elijah Newby, does he get in on the action? I'm not saying that Eric Gentry or Desmond Stevens aren't going to look great. But again, how long are they going to play on Saturday once we get past the first half of the game? So again, could it be Elijah Newby, Anthony Beavers? I don't think it's going to be one of the 2 starting linebackers. Maybe one of the 3 starting linebackers. It's starting to seem like, just kind of getting a feel, you could be seeing a lot more 4-3 base this year. You got to like that. Maybe it's going to be one of the safeties who leads the team in tackles. Kamari, Bishop Shelton, Christian Pierce, Kennedy Urlacher. Does it happen at the nickel spot? Who is playing nickel? I said on yesterday's episode of Locked on USC, Thursday's episode of Locked on USC, that I need at least 1 sack each from Anthony Lucas and Braylon Shelby, Cam Fountain, Devin Tompkins, Jade Abasiri. So I think if you get 5, is anybody going to get 2? I'll settle for 5 as a team, especially if each of those guys get 1. I think USC's going to have more than 5 sacks. That was me knocking on wood. Let's see it happen. So after thinking about it all week, while I would love to see a shutout, it's probably not going to be in the cards because the backups should play a lot, right? I think they're actually going to play more in this game than the backups did when USC played Utah State last year. So I can see USC's defense giving up 10 points, maybe 13. But again, a lot of that's going to happen. Excuse me. I think it's going to happen. I hope it happens when they're, Missouri State's first string offense is trying to get some scores going up against USC's, third and fourth string backups. If that happens, here's my final score prediction for Saturday. USC is going to win the game. I think they're actually going to start rather quickly. I think Jaden Mayava is going to get off the schneid. He's going to make some good decisions, do some safe passes. I don't think he's really going to do anything where you're, no. Oh, yeah, it's good throw. None of that. I think it's all going to be safe, vanilla type of stuff just to keep building up his confidence. They're going to incorporate that run game as much as possible, use the tight end. And again, just get the ball into Mackay and Jacoby's hands just enough to give future opponents something to think about. So, all right, we got to look for that. We got to watch that. When everything's all said and done, USC 56, Missouri State 10. How's that? So USC covers the spread. That's a nice 46-point win. Maybe that'll be enough to move them up in the other receiving votes category. I've been watching football. I watched Thursday night game. I'm going to watch Friday's games. Nobody looks good right now. Boise State doesn't look like the number 25 team in the country. They got their butts pushed in playing South Florida. Nebraska escaped. They beat Cincinnati. All right. We'll see. Let's see how good USC can look. Because I got to be honest. So far, the Big Ten teams, Nobody's looked impressive. Nobody. I mean, Rutgers had the biggest offensive scoring output, I think 30-something points. Yeah, and they won by 3. I think they beat Ohio. So, again, not a great showing so far. But, again, it's the first game of the season. Teams are trying to, find their rhythm. They're shaking off the rust from not playing for, since January, December, whenever they played in the postseason. All that kind of stuff's going on. I think USC will be fine. I think they're going to lean on that defense. I think the offense will do just enough what they have to do. And because, again, they're going up against an inferior opponent, USC 56, Missouri State 10. Give me your final score. Hit me up in the comments. You know where to find me on YouTube. Hit me up on X, on Instagram, Facebook. Meet me over there on wersc.com when we're done over here. You know where to find me. And if you are watching this show on YouTube, do not forget, if you haven't subscribed yet, today's the day to do it. Today's the day. Hit that red subscribe button. Smash that thumbs up because you like what you're watching. And click that bell notification button. You do not want to miss another episode of Locked on USC for the rest of the year. All right. We've got 2 more segments to go. Next segment, we got some news about USC versus Notre Dame. Really? USC is speaking up, finally, about time. And then the third segment, I got my Friday rant. Got a couple things we're going to talk about. All right. College football is back, and I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands. There is nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually, getting tickets feels like it's more of a battle than the game itself, with the endless queues that you get in line for, the hidden fees, the price jumping at the checkout, all of that. It sucks. That's why you should use Game Time, the app that gives advantages back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices and with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. I pulled up Game Time. I checked it out, and in just a couple of taps, I saw these amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite college football games for as low as $25 a ticket. The app made it super simple. I could even see the exact view from my seat before I checked out. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. I'm going to ask you, do me a favor. I got an important request. Help me out here. Locked On wants to hear from you. We put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcast even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't like, and answer questions about our advertising. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes the survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. You can also find the link in the show notes. And I want to say thank you for helping us out. Well, looky here. USC appears to have gone on the offensive. Yeah. We know that Notre Dame got out in the lead. They got out in front real fast, took a big lead about the narrative. We want to play this game. It's really important to us. The Fighting Irish sports information director, athletic director, Pete Pavakwa, says, we want to play this game anywhere, any place, anytime. Marcus Freeman echoed the same sentiment. It's important. We need to play this game. Meanwhile, USC was like, they would dip their toe in the PR pool, give a little one sentence here, one sentence there. We want to play the game too, but they never really made a strong statement. Well, they're making a strong statement. This is from the LA Times. Ryan Karchi is reporting. Following public uproar over the potential end of their 100-year-old football rivalry, USC has made an amended offer to Notre Dame that would extend their annual series for multiple years beyond this season, USC Athletic Director Jennifer Cohen told the LA Times. Negotiations remain ongoing between the two schools, but Cohen said she was really hopeful, quote, really hopeful, that USC's new offer, which better accommodates Notre Dame's preference for a long-term deal, would lead to an agreement, and again, quote, very soon. This is what Athletic Director Jen Cohen had to say. Quote, we're trying to extend the series. This is an important series for us and our fans and for our program. And hopefully we get to a resolution that supports that and is the best, and that is in the best interest of our program. And she continued. So I just want to remind everybody, remember when everyone was kind of assuming that USC's decision about this rivalry continuing, it was hinged on the playoffs, getting those 4 automatic qualifiers in the Big Ten conference? That would ease some of the concern on USC's part. Well, the other thing that USC isn't happy about is their current travel arrangements. They're not a big fan of playing in South Bend in the middle of its conference schedule every other year. I guess I'm still going to raise this question. Why wasn't that an issue when USC was a member of the Pac-8, Pac-10, Pac-12? They never had a problem flying into South Bend during the middle of their conference schedule. We're talking about October. I do get it. I get the additional travel that USC made the conscientious decision to join when they joined the Big Ten conference, a few years ago. They knew that they were going to be flying to the Midwest frequently, more than one time a year to play Notre Dame. And, I get it. Some of these trips are longer, but they're not flying on Spirit Airlines. They're not sitting in the middle seat on Frontier. They're not scrambling to find a seat on Southwest. These guys are flying comfortable. But again, we're talking about every other year. That's the situation. So this is USC's amended negotiation offer. Jen Cohen told the LA Times that the date the game is played is currently the biggest issue for USC at the negotiating table. Okay. So it's when the game is played that's the biggest issue. Remember when I asked Lincoln Riley that question at Big Ten Media Day? Yeah, well, so here's what Jen Cohen told Ryan Karchi of the LA Times. It's not very typical that a Power 4 school would travel back and forth across the country for a non-conference game in the middle of October. Show me who else does that. Show me someone else who is doing that and doing that kind of travel we're doing. It's a cool tradition to play at the end of the year, but then there are back-to-back rivalry games with a conference championship, and our opponent doesn't play in a conference championship. They have a lot more flexibility in scheduling than we do. We're in a bigger conference that doesn't have the same level of ability to protect us in the way they schedule us for that type of game, end quote. Again, I am not trying to sound like a huge Delta Bravo, but again, if the game is moved to the month of September, because that's kind of what USC would like to have happen, and I have no problem with that. I really don't. I've never been against that idea. But even if if Notre Dame agrees that, all right, we'll come to LA on the years that end in an even number, we'll do that in September. Fine. Well, let me remind everybody, USC's conference games in the months of September this year, at Purdue, host Michigan State, at Illinois. All those games are in September. So flip the script to next year. All right. Does Notre Dame play in game 1 or 2 in 2026 if the game is in LA? You're going to have conference games. Who is your first out of conference game? Is it going to be Notre Dame? Or are you going to slip in one of those cupcakes like Missouri State again, then play Notre Dame, and then go into your conference schedule in the month of September? What about in 2027 when USC returns to South Bend, hopefully? Again, we play that game in South Bend in September. USC is going to have played 1 or 2, maybe 3 conference games, depending on when that game is scheduled in the month of September. Excuse me. For me, the timing of Jen Cohen's comments are interesting to me. She never raised the playoff concern with her words to the LA Times. However, so I guess what's changed? And I think what's changed is the SEC. They said, yeah, you know what? We're going to a 9-game conference schedule, and we're going to mandate we have to play at least one team from another Power 4 conference. You're now playing 10 legitimate games per season. Something that USC's been doing since forever, since Hector was a pup, since Methuselah was a little kid. Yeah, like I said, this was never an issue when USC was in the Pac-8, Pac-10, Pac-12. So folks, let's not be naive about this, okay? And I get it. It's Notre Dame. You got to hate Notre Dame. For a second, let's just assume we all hate Notre Dame when USC's playing them. But we can also take off our blinders, our cardinal gold glasses, and say that, look, the playoffs never came up in her statement. And it completely contradicts what Coach Riley said about when the game should or shouldn't be played when I asked him that question at the Big Ten Media Day. I specifically asked him, can you talk to us about the significance of this rivalry, and does it matter when this game is played during the season? And he was very emphatic. No, it doesn't matter when we play this game. Well, apparently it does. So I'm not calling anybody a liar. That's not where I'm going with this. But the left hand should know what the right hand is doing. And if you're going to put out statements, they've got to be consistent. That's all I'm saying about this. I appreciate the fact, I love that Jen Cohen is coming out on the offensive, so to speak. So I from that whole aspect of it, I like it that USC's all right. Look, here's our public negotiation. We're concerned about when we have to travel during the middle of the year to come to South Bend. We think this game can hold its significance, but let's play it at the beginning of the year. I got no problem with that. Literally, I don't. Why weren't we doing this earlier in the season, during the summer? Don't tell me, well, we don't negotiate publicly. Guess what? I think we do. I think we do. So for me, the SEC willing to play 9 conference games, mandating that 10th game to be against a power conference team. All of a sudden, again, strength of schedule has been leveled. The playing field has been leveled. Let's get this contract signed. Let's dot the I's. Let's cross the T's. Let's get this done. And I don't know why the big conference can't work with USC and Notre Dame specifically about this. If they know USC is traveling to South Bend in 2027, they can put together a conference schedule that maybe gives USC a little bit of latitude or a longer leash about when they're traveling back and forth between the Midwest and the East Coast. That's all. So that's where Jen was coming from when she's talking about protecting. And I don't think the conference championship game is going to be around much longer anyways, especially once you go to the 16-team format. You're going to have playing game type of situations. All right, so there you go. There's your update on USC versus Notre Dame. I think it's good news. I think it's moving in the right direction. Let's get the deal done. Do a gentleman's handshake agreement. Get her done. All right, one more segment to go. Got the Friday rant. I got 2 things I'm going to talk about. 2 things. First, we're going to do this. Hey, Locked On USC fans, are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back. Get real cash back literally every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now, and you can start earning cash right now at the pump today. Go use my limited promo code FOOTBALL, and you're going to get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You can make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you already need anyways. At first I thought, well, this has got to be too good to be true, right? But it's totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes. You can do it too. Plus, you can cash out at any time, right into your bank account, right into your PayPal, or get an e-gift card for Amazon or any of the other major brands that they have. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using my limited promo code FOOTBALL for a limited time, and you're going to get a 25-cent per gallon bonus. That's promo code FOOTBALL. Offers vary by lender and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. Before I get into my Friday rant about how fans like to treat their favorite players and coaches and teams and react to those guys during the course of a game, I got to ask this question. I got the dirty look. I got to know, what is the proper amount to tip for a haircut? Okay, my type of haircut. I always thought 20% was appropriate, right? But now those options start at 22% and go up exponentially from there. You look at the little card reader that you tap or you put your card in, because nobody takes cash anymore. It says tip 22%, 30%, this percent. It's like, no. I said no tip. And then I went into my pocket and I pulled out 20% of what I was being charged for the haircut. It's like a little bit over 20%, actually, to be honest with you. So again, I'm not talking about long hair that needs extra special attention. I'm not talking about someone getting a perm or some sort of, hair color treatment where obviously, the labor is more expensive, takes more time. I get that. And keep in mind, when stylists are doing a perm or, frosting somebody's tips, whatever, they're usually double dipping. They're overlapping clients. They're working on two people at one time. Yeah, that's how that industry works. Trust me, I know. Back in the day, I used to be a sales rep for the professional hair care products that the salons use. Those people like to party. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah. So anyways, my haircut cost $24. I tipped 20%, more than 20%. And I got the look from hell. And I was giving her cash because she doesn't have to claim it that way. I mean, there was no hair wash, didn't get my head scrubbed, no massage, none of that extra stuff. I literally was there for 20 minutes. So what's up with the attitude? How much was she expecting for a $24 haircut for 20 minutes of her time? I certainly don't think 50% is appropriate. I mean, at that point, get me the Flowbee and I'll do it myself. If you know what the Flowbee is, you're my friend. Okay. Speaking of attitudes, let's turn the page here. Talk about USC football fans. If you're not going to grace your presence in the Coliseum, maybe you can't, maybe you live too far away, you're out of state. I get it. Valid excuse. But if you're not going to go to the game, you're going to be hanging out on one of those game threads on one of the message boards, don't embarrass yourself. Do me a favor. Act like a Trojan. Act like you've been there before. Don't post drunk. Don't say something you're going to regret the next day. Because that's always I was drunk, I'm sorry, it won't happen again. It's like wash, rinse, repeat every single year. It's always the same people too. Here's my advice. Just don't say so-and-so sucks if they drop a pass. I get being upset. I really do. I have a hard time containing of my emotions as well. You probably saw some of my post-game reactions after some of those close losses last year. You will get a visceral reaction from me. But I'm here to say there's a way to be critical, and then there's a way to be a Delta Bravo. Don't be a Delta Bravo, okay? Find a way. If you feel some vitriol about to come out of your mouth through your fingers, get up, take a walk, take a few deep breaths, sit back down, enjoy the game, and then say, he should have caught that pass. But don't say he sucks and I hope so-and-so breaks a leg. That's the extreme. But if you've been around long enough, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? Right? I hate the game day threads. Sometimes I go in there and I have to put on one of those hazardous waste suits so I don't get infected. I mean, it's bad. It's real bad. You know what else is bad? We're at the end of the show. We're at the end of the week of Locked On USC that you guys have made great. Thank you so much. We can be doing better though. I want to continue to see the show grow. Tell your friends and family. Let's continue to get those subscriber numbers up. I want to see more viewers on a daily. And I will be back after the game. I will have my post-game reaction, and then I'll be back again next week with another 5 episodes. So until then, everyone, you know what to do.